A pivotal day for Bitcoin and crypto today. As of making this video, the SEC will have a few more hours to appeal or not the judge's ruling in their case against Grayscale. If they don't appeal this, it is essentially the SEC saying they have no more appeals left to deny Bitcoin ETFs. This is one of the major points in this bear market, a turning point for me for Bitcoin. And let's look at crypto towards the end of this video as well, because crypto is getting crushed right now in Bitcoin terms. In terms of price action right now for BTC, I'm on the week chart here because we're thinking long term at this point in the cycle. What we're seeing is crushing of volatility, right? So I would say that this is consolidation here, really, if you're looking at the price action. Trying to read too much into it, maybe with a head and shoulders here, which is weak price action. We also potentially have this, which is a descending wedge, which actually can be fairly bullish in an uptrend, although, a potential lower low here, which isn't great, but a lot of support at this price level around 24 as well. So I just think the market is kind of consolidating around this level. And what we're waiting for is the good news or not from the SEC. But what we're seeing is a lot of buyers come in at these support levels, demand for BTC that is holding it up in this part of the cycle. There's a lot of uncertainty. What's going to happen to the economy? Is there going to be a recession? How's that going to affect Bitcoin? All of that is fairly negative. But then you have the pricing of what this network is doing in the future and the halving. And so, it's really 50-50 right now. But I think I lean towards going bullish with BTC because the network is growing. So that's how I trade it. If you want to trade, check out Bybit. You can get a deposit bonus up to 30,000 if you are a trader. Just click the link down in the description. Not for US and UK though. You can try Apex Exchange, which is on-chain trading for futures, only for experienced traders though, but you can get deposit bonuses, links in description for that. The market absolutely thinks that the ETFs are coming, and so we must assume that investors and traders are pricing in that fact right now. So let's go through this. The SEC must appeal Grayscale's win in court today on October 13th, or they will have to approve or maybe delay it on new grounds. So what's the outcomes here? While many observers don't believe that the regulator will attempt to appeal the decision, there could still be ways that they delay it further. So they would have to come up with a new reason why they would delay it. Now, observers think this is quite unlikely. You can see here a Bloomberg analyst said that an SEC attempt to deny it on new grounds is unlikely. It's a very difficult needle to thread, but it could find ways to keep delaying. Another scenario would be that the New York Stock Exchange has to make a new filing to list the GBTC, and then it's possible the SEC could take up to 8 months to reach a decision. So I think what we're going through here is probably the ETFs aren't coming for a while. They're going to take this extremely slow. However, the market itself does think that they essentially are coming, and it's just a waiting game at this point. This is the Bitcoin trust, the GBTC trust, that is trying to be converted into an ETF. Now, the trust is traded at a discount to Bitcoin. The reason for that is because the trust is illiquid, right? And so what you're doing is buying Bitcoin at a discount, but you have to buy the trust. You have to buy into the trust. It's not liquid investment. The discount to the actual price of Bitcoin in June of 23 this year was 43%. You can see the market has bid up the price of these trust shares now to a 16% more or less discount. So the market has gone from 43% lower than the price of Bitcoin to now only 16%. So you have traders here buying these shares thinking the ETF is going to be approved. These shares that then get converted into an ETF, and the Bitcoin in here is valued at the price of Bitcoin, but the shares of it are trading at a discount because it's illiquid. And so what you're seeing here is traders saying, I'm willing to buy these shares because I think the ETF is going to be within 6, 8, 12 months. And I want to buy Bitcoin anyway, and I'm buying Bitcoin at a massive discount. You also get traders who can short Bitcoin in the futures market, and they buy these shares at a discount, and that's what's known as a delta neutral position. So they're not actually taking any market or price risk because they're short and long the same amount of Bitcoin. They're trading the spread, the discount of 40%, and eventually they just wait 12 months. This goes to an ETF, and they close that to a 0% spread. So that's what the market is telling us. They think the ETFs are pretty close. We also have this, which is ARK, their ETF application. ARK just filed an updated version of its ETF prospectus. The SEC emailed issuers a few weeks ago with comments. And you can see here, I have also heard separately that none of the comments were that new or insurmountable challenges existed, which is probably why ARK was able to address it within a few weeks. On the lookout now for the rest of the pack to file their updates. It just looks like things are happening, and there is comments between the SEC and filers of these ETFs, which hasn't happened before. So it seems like the SEC maybe is slowly working on this. It's generally positive, right? This is good news. But Bitcoin is bullish because of its own reasons. ETF is not going to pump the price of Bitcoin long term if Bitcoin doesn't perform long term. Bitcoin is the signal and the price is the signal. What I mean by Bitcoin is the signal is this network growth is just undeniable. So pink is transfer value of Bitcoin, white is the price. What we're seeing is the transfer value on BTC coming down a little bit away from the price as transactions are growing much higher than before, as you can see, even in 2018. So the amount of transactions on Bitcoin is growing. What is that? It looks to be, according to Van Eck anyway, potentially Bitcoin inscriptions, which are encoded images, files, or text into the Bitcoin blockchain's data structure. Somewhat similar to NFTs, not exactly the same. What data can you encode here? The Edward Snowden files are actually getting inscripted into the Bitcoin blockchain for eternity, that sort of thing. So people are using Bitcoin as the world's most secure public database. Once it's on the blockchain, it's there forever. So this is an interesting use case for BTC. As you can see here, what we also see is address growth. Address growth just continues, right? So Bitcoin addresses with more than one Bitcoin in dark blue here, growing actually through this entire bear market. Bitcoin addresses with any BTC at all also growing. See, all of these crises happen, but you just march higher in terms of people coming here and using this network. Then we also see shrimps versus whales. So shrimps in orange and whales in green right here. Shrimps have been growing throughout this bear market. A lot of people hold altcoins. In fact, most people hold more altcoins than Bitcoin, which is up to the individual investor. When are altcoins going to outperform? The last time that they outperformed was at the tail end of a bear market. So altcoins are just seen as more risky investments. And so towards the end of a bear market is when the riskiest investments start to outperform, that kind of blow off top, and then everything collapses through to the next cycle. So if you're looking at cycles here, Bitcoin is climbing and there's no real reason why it would not continue to do that. So let's look at the previous cycle here. You can see as the Fed's balance sheet was reduced over time, so that's that, you can see that the Bitcoin dominance starts to rise from a bottom. And it continues to rise until we have the injection of liquidity from the central bank. That's when a recession has happened and the central bank says we need to debase the currency, we need to pump liquidity into the markets to try and stimulate demand. And you can see during that time, during the first phases of that, right, which is this, even Bitcoin doesn't really underperform here. Bitcoin had its blow off top, right? So the kind of, end of that Bitcoin price appreciation for that time. And then during the end phase of that liquidity injection, that's when Bitcoin underperforms and you get altcoins and speculation going here, right? So what part of the cycle are we in now? We're still in the phase where the drawdown is happening, the drawdown in liquidity over time. And it's not going to stop for a while because inflation is still too high. The job market is still too strong. So I don't expect to see altcoins gaining much value in Bitcoin terms. Maybe it's not as strong as it was in the previous cycle, but Bitcoin is strong here and it has its own cycle and it has its own narrative, which altcoins do not have right now. They do not have any narrative. The VCs aren't pumping money in. They're not wanting to do that. They're thinking, no, not this part of the cycle. It's not time. But Bitcoin has its narrative. And so during this part of the cycle, when the Fed is still drawing out liquidity, you have to just keep expecting Bitcoin to be strong and, growing and keeping a high dominance. We're not in this part of the cycle yet. I will let you know when we are. I will show you this, but for right now we aren't. So it is Bitcoin. If you are a trader, check out the deposit bonus on Bybit. It depends where you live in the world if you can use Bybit, so you can check the details via the links in the description. Also, the Crypto Investor course, I do update this for free with my research before it comes to YouTube. I was talking about a lot of this beforehand, in terms of what's happening with Ethereum and Bitcoin. So you can check all those videos. I'm James, it's MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.